Good morning and welcome to the vibrant morning here in BTV Kenya. Today in the studio with us, I have one of our own, Nyainda. Let me give him an opportunity to say hi and to greet our viewers before we get into what.
Actually, I didn't know that I had to speak on the introduction part, but again, and let's discuss this. What is unfolding in the
People Daily newspaper.
in the People Daily newspaper together as we begin.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, my dear viewers. Remember to keep tuned to BTV Kenya. Remember to keep tuned to the vibrant morning. Here is where we give you what is in the People Daily newspaper. And remember, we are just giving you the brief of what is in the People Daily newspaper. You can reach out, grab your copy, and read more comprehensively on the matters that we will be giving you brief on here. And also remember to send your comments. Also remember to leave questions if there be possible, so that we may be able to sample your questions, your comments, and know where we are reaching you from. Remember, BTV is your home live television network, and remember you can reach us on Facebook page, that is Blackman TV. You can also reach us on YouTube, BTV Kenya. We are so much grateful once again this morning. I'm your host, Gagi Isaiah. Now, we just want to go straight to what we are having for you today in the People Daily newspaper. Now, having looked into the People Daily newspaper, if you can turn with me, or if you are intending to pick one or planning to pick one, here is what is on the daily People Daily newspaper. Now, looking onto the cover page, which is the cover story, we see Muturi ups war on Ruto. That is what the newspaper headline is all about. In a clear sign of a man laying grounds for his imminent exit from government, furious cabinet secretary implicates spy chief in the abduction of his son during the Gen Z protest, and paints president and his lieutenants as players in a grand conspiracy. Now that story is on page 4. Now on the same page we see much and more of what is there. On the top of the page you can see there we have a story about modern family. Mothers now bleach dark-skinned baby girls. You can also grab a copy and read that. Is on page 17 of the People Daily newspaper. And also we see Ruto picks face Bunge laundry. You can also check that. That's on issues to do the vetting of the broad-based nominee of cabinet secretary by the parliament yesterday. You can also see it there. In case you missed that news, we are here also to tell you. Remember, yesterday we did a news bulletin at 9 and at 7. You can go back to our YouTube page and what is happening, especially in the case of Muturi and of vetting of the new nominees by the House. Now, we get into the first page of the People Daily newspaper. On the first page, we see a story there. Not really a good story, but we say poleni sana to the family as a mother fights for her life after family tragedy at Christmas. Now you can also read that story. Daughter succumbed to injuries suffered following fire accident during holidays in Mombasa at Yaletide. A story by Zadok Angira. This is a story of a mother who actually had lost her husband, and later she lost her daughter as they were out for Christmas in Mombasa as a result of fire, and the mother is now in a critical condition because having suffered burns on her body. That is what we are having there. It is a story that is not really good, but we say sorry for that. And also we also see on the same page, we see AU job drive draws hundreds in Nyeri. Now, hundreds of young people turned up at Nyeri National Polytechnic on Monday to try their luck at securing job in construction in the United Arab Emirates, that is UAE. That's a story. You can also read much of that story. And also we see another filler story that state urged to elaborate on university funding model. Now the government has been urged to sensitize people about the new university funding model, as information currently available is insufficient and in some cases incorrect. Now that's part of what we see on the cover page, but looking into this, let me jump into this. Nyainda, what do you think? What is your take about these jobs at United Arab Emirates? We see many people are coming out to find out whether they can secure these jobs, and in the past we had seen that many people actually are really crying foul. They saying we've gone there, we are mistreated, but we still see people coming in, flocking young people to get jobs to the United Arabs.
Gagi, generally, there are no jobs in Kenya. In fact, you can finish your studies and even take 20 years without getting a job. Nobody cares. So until you take that initiative yourself to look for opportunities, then that is the only way you can save yourself from unemployment. With that one said, we have this now, these Asian countries,
yes,
especially these Arabs, there are a lot of opportunity. In fact, if you can compare in the different society, if you go there with the mindset of just looking for a job, doing your job for the duration that you are going to be there, and after that duration you come back home, nobody is going to interfere with you. The problem that we are facing generally is that majority of us, after getting the opportunities to go to those different countries, they tend to forget where they have come from and engage themselves into some activities that don't actually go well with the natives. So utapata the natives always take initiative. Like maybe, for instance, you are a woman, you are a lady, you've gone to work as an house help or something, then you are working inside a family where the man is somehow rich. If you try to tangle with this man, the wife will always intervene, and you will have some question to answer. So that one, utapata theirs don't end well. But for those people who have fixed their mind and gone there to just work, they always come up with something. So we have a very good example. So for these young youths who are looking for this opportunity, even me, if I can get that opportunity, I can say, I can't let it slide. You
will dump us and move to United Arab countries,
I can't let it, because if you even, for instance, you've decided to go there for even 5 years, and you've gone there, humbled yourself, not went for luxurious life, because there are even apartments where people live are very expensive. You can find yourself paying almost close to even 90,000 in form of rent. So you simply cut your costs in terms of making sure that you don't overspend. Instead, you save back home, so that if you spend there 5 years, you made maybe even some 5 million in translated into Kenya money. You come back here, do your own investment, because from there you can actually develop from 5 million to even 7 million in some 3 years. Staying at home close to family and doing your own things at your free time. So opportunities that are taking people outside the country should only be that one which take you to bettering your life than enjoying life there, because there is not your home.
I see that. That is well said, and looking onto what we are having on the same page, we had it severally. University funding model. There's a lot of critics. There's a lot of challenges. People don't know. Many people do not understand. What is this? How comes I applied for this fund, and I'm told I'm in this category, and looking at exactly the background I come from, I cannot even afford this. But on the same note, you see, you realize that many people don't understand what is this university funding model, how do we go about it, and what can we do? Because everybody's in the dark.
You see, I mean, for me, the model. For instance, if you've been in this country for some period of time, knowing a lot of things, you can make example of universities who are really doing well some years back. Then in recent times have been let me refer to them as sleeping giants. Like for instance, even Egerton University, there are a lot of debts there because government takes you there through capitation. You are supposed to pay, even for instance, in my case, I was supposed to pay. I studied parallel. That is where my parents were the one paying the fees. So per semester we could pay 56,000. No government capitation, just your parents and you and studies. So 56,000. Then there's some whom we were doing the same course were paying around 20,000, 25,000, 18,000 per semester. So you see, that gap is breached by the government, the gap of 30-something thousand.
Yeah.
So if the government is supposed to be paying that 35,000 per student, of which in a university during maybe the intake period, like for instance the September period, can actually enroll over 3,000 students in different different courses and schools. So with this number, for instance, that 3,000, and let's assume statistically we say that 2,500 have been enrolled to this school through COOPs, that is government placement. So the government should pay 35,000 times this number of students, of which even it will even go for years before they pay, and the university has to run. And by the way, not all lecturers in university have been employed by the government, because there are a lot of courses and a lot of students who need services, that is education itself. So the university has to employ other lecturers on some sort of contract basis where they are being paid by the school. And
by the institution.
And the institution actually. So that debt will accumulate. It will even reach every financial year. A university releases its own financial statements. Then you realize there are a lot of deficits in terms of what the government needs to pay and what they did and what is they are owing the school.
Like you see, in a case of Mo University, to realize the government has tried, the government has pumped money. Things are still not working well, and this has pushed the government actually to form a committee like of experts to go look into it, what is actually happening, because let
me just the problem is a lack of funds. You don't need a committee to sort out the lack of funds. Maybe you can just say, if you are the head of state or even the head of the finance, and you're supposed to, there's a money that you are supposed to remit to this particular institution, you can just set some criteria. So now you're going to go about paying this debt. Like even for instance, you see even Nairobi University also has debts amounting to billions of shillings. this university, like even these small universities that we have around, they are also struggling with this issue. So theirs has not escalated to university and even Egerton University. So with that I'm saying, if this model will improve university itself to meet its own basic needs, and the students themselves to also acquire education which took them to university, then it's not a bad model, because the previous model, truly speaking, even if we are going to sit here bargaining on which model is good, as much as you want something fair to you, that something fair should also imply or should also be applied to the next kid who will also be needing the same fair treatment and fair services offered to them. Because if you go the same model, then in the next 10 years, we crumple off all the universities, then where will we take our children who will be coming to university during those times? Because if these debts will accumulate, there was a time that, because my case was different, I was doing parallel, we could do exams, even if there is strike. Those sponsored by government are striking, workers of the school are striking, and no education going on. But to us, because we were doing parallel sponsoring ourselves, as we were continuing the education. In fact, we will realize that I finished school before others did. So these things are really crippling these universities in terms of services offered. I have a friend of mine who went to do medicine at Egerton University. From 2017 up to today, they are for 50, another 60, of which something that he ought to have finished.
2017,
18,
19, 20, 21, 22.
23 hapo sasa mambo yake ilikuwa imefaishi. But because of being the government sponsored students, all the problems that will be associated with the university, the receptionist, the people who are receiving the impulse of the, or rather effect, and that's the students who are sponsored by government. Because utapata you have to go for a long holiday, which is not necessary, because the university has to deal with some few things that they avoid, just because we don't want to change the funding model which we have.
Okay, thank you so much. Now you can grab a copy and read that story on State Urge to Elaborate on University Funding Model on page 2 by Miriam Murigi. You can grab a copy and read much of that story more comprehensively. And still on matters of education, jumping on to page 3, we see students beat mental illness to score A in KCSE. This is a story of Brian Otucho, who sat his exam at Kapsabet Boys, would like to be a pilot and looks forward to joining aviation college. A story by Wycliffe Kipsang. I would say kudos to Brian Otucho, having suffered a mental illness. And actually, if you read the story, the mother actually had advocated that he himself, he wanted to go and repeat Form 3. But the mother urged him to continue. We'll support him through prayers and any other. And we have seen that he has merged with an A. And in the past week, from last week, we have seen a lot of jubilation. We have seen a lot of anxieties as many students have excelled. We have hosted some of them here in the studio. And again, we have also seen stories that are impressive, that are inspiring, that are actually challenging. We did see a boy who served as a carpenter merging with a good grade. We have seen a story of now Otucho, who suffered mental illness, merging up with an A. And we have also seen a story of a girl who resides in refugee camp that is all the way from Eldoret, who also did well in exam. And we also did see yesterday from the same paper as an MCA celebrated and threw a party having scored a D, as his expectation was not to get that, but he thanks God, and so it has been received with a lot of mixed reaction. What will you say? And before you take on that, let us look at another story which is also here on the same page, where we say Coast Province has post improved result in the national examination. Now they say the last time we had A- was in 2015. So this is what celebrating. We are determined to get better result. Now that's part of the story from Mombasa, as the Mombasa schools recorded a notable resurgence in 2024 Kenya Certificate of Secondary School Education result. The public and private institution posted significant improvement and development attributed to better collaboration among the education stakeholders. What would you say generally about the cases, the result that we have witnessed in the past 1 week now?
Okay, I think post-Matiang'i, results have actually improved.
I get you.
It has always been progressively improving. You know, during the first time, 2016, the whole Kenya, we only had 49 A's. But right now almost a school has even 80 something A's. Students scoring A-planes.
Like
that one is an improvement.
Like I was reading on a story about Maranda High School. They have over 60 something with plane A.
Yeah. And mark you, in 2016 we only had 49. The whole Kenya 49 A-planes. So post-Matiang'i results have actually improved. And I think we are going to back to the normal times. You know, there were normal times when a school having a mean grade of even 7 or even 8 was considered a fail. I can remember during our time we even striked
because you got a mean grade of 7.
Got a mean grade of 7, and we were very much devastated, and we said we don't need this principal and he is not helping us and blah blah blah, just because we felt like 7 was a fail. But when we came to realize that even 5 is a pass, life actually changed. But now we are going back to the eras whereby 7s and 8s are considered fail. Only 9, 10 Apple we consider a school has done well. And that one said, people are really battling a lot of things. That's why in schools during our times and even currently, we encourage some mental
examination.
Not even examination, counseling.
Yes, that's part of the examination, mental counseling and all that.
Yeah, mental counseling, whereby we have a teacher who is actually
in charge of
that counseling, and you interact with students. Most of the times, some teachers tend to be very angry. I don't know, they have some rage inside them that pulls away students from them. Unless you are good enough, which sometimes tends to be difficult. Unless you are good enough in maths, in the way that you know everything in maths, that's when you befriend a maths teacher. Unless you are very good enough in biology in terms of understanding it and even answering questions that relate to it, that's when you can befriend it. But a teacher most teachers don't like students who don't do well. Like they are weak in terms of like our levi vizuri. Little they know that maybe it is just some sort of, let me refer to it as this disorder kidogo that does not last forever. Because even if you go and you end up even with your mental problem, sick. You know, we have a lot of sickness nowadays, and like for instance, for this young boy Brian, who has been very sick since his Form 3 year, didn't see himself even doing this last year's Form 4 examinations. You know, when such students returns to school, we had one who even finished a whole year without even doing Form 2. He came back from 3, was just